back into the injuries. We talked about Zion a little bit. Trey Murphy Jr. is probably the one that's already rostered a lot. So Najee Marshall becomes the next option. But Phoenix, I think, is a bit of an interesting, call it a quagmire, because I don't know who to pick up in the absence of Devin Booker here.
Yeah.
Landry Shamet, we saw him go off for 2 30-point games, and then he went straight to IL with an sore Achilles. And since then, Cam Payne has come back. What are you doing? I mean, are you even touching that situation, or like what are you doing?
I'm not, just because we've seen that fifth starter spot be more of a situational type deal.
Right.
Against Cleveland, it was Dario Saric who started just to match up with that size. Shamet was in there before he got hurt. We've seen Damian Lee. I don't really think there's anyone in there that you can truly lock in on as a starter. Maybe that changes once we get Cam Johnson back in the fold. But even then, he's going to be going through a ramp-up process given the amount of time that he's missed. So, yeah, I don't really like any of the options there in Phoenix right now.
Yeah, me either. I'm not rushing to the waivers to get any of those guys. Couple short-term injuries that I think is worth noting. Bradley Beal is set to miss at least 4 games as he deals with a hamstring injury. But we know how hamstring injuries be. Sometimes it's 4 games, and the next thing you know, you're missing a month. So who are you picking up in the absence of Bradley Beal, if anybody?
I know that Corey Kispert's been the fill-in starter, but I think Rui Hachimura is someone that's kind of popped out to me recently in terms of his production. You're getting top 100 value over the last 2 weeks. He's still rostered in 42% of Yahoo leagues. So he may be lingering on the waiver wire in some of your more competitive formats right now. He's coming off the bench, but I think the fact that they're going to need his scoring ability a bit more with Beal sidelined, I think that makes him worth a look. Daniel Gafford's at 37%, completely different positions, but now that he's starting, we may get into him a bit more later in the podcast, but I think that's someone else. I'd say Hachimura and Gafford are the 2 I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, Hachimura, 18 points in his averaging over 18 points in his last 7 contests. So you are spot on with that. The other wizard I would take a look at is Denny Avita. He's only 24% rostered, and while he doesn't play the same position, it seems like he's been playing very well with Bradley Beal off the floor, averaging 11.7 boards, 4 dimes, and over a steal and a half per game.
Yeah.
And he's actually surprisingly been 69th in per game value over the last month in 9-cat head-to-head leagues. So I think he's certainly somebody that you may want to look at if you're avoiding Kispert, who does a little bit less, doesn't really give you much defensively, but he really just gives you those threes. And then Clint Capella is still dealing with a calf injury, and Onyeka Okongwu has been balling. Is this a person that you're going to hold on to even when Capella comes back? What do you think his prospects are?
I think so. He's good enough to give you decent value in 20 to 25 minutes per game, which is what he'll get once he's back in that backup role. So, yeah, I think Okongwu obviously is someone that people rushed out to add in the aftermath of Capella's injury. And I think he's going to be someone to hold on to moving forward.
Agreed. Marvin Bagleys going to be missing time. I don't really care much. I think that just means that Jalen Duren's going to be a beast because more minutes to him, beef stew. Jalen Duren's been great. Great to see him just being such a beast on the glass. And he's also contributing a little bit of low-end scoring there. So double threat now that Bagley's not eating at his minutes. Dwayne Casey continues to play these veterans, and it's maddening. But that's one less person in the way.
I think it saves not to interrupt. I think it saves Saddiq Bey as well because he's someone that he fell off when he was moved to the bench. But now he's still rostered in a little over 60% of Yahoo leagues. Saw him hit that game winner against the Warriors the other night. So I think he's someone that will be helped out by proxy just because, look, Bagley, I'm not going to say he can't develop further, but we kind of know where he is at this stage. Yeah. And that was kind of clogging up that front court rotation a bit.
Right. Yeah, his inability to stretch the floor, it was certainly something that was hampering not only the offense, but his fantasy appeal.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree. The Saddiq Bey, I think he was definitely a person that fantasy managers grew frustrated of and probably dropped. And, there's a chance now that jumper, that game winner against the Warriors is the type of thing that can get your mojo going a different way. So that was great to see him hit that big shot. on the road. And trying to think here. Who else? Bull. We talked about him a little bit and what you should do there. But what's good with what have you heard about Wiggins coming back? I know he's been upgraded to questionable a few times, upwards to be downgraded to out. Do you think he's going to return by next week? And what have you heard also about Steph?
I think in terms of both of those guys, we could be looking at the end of next week. Warriors GM Bob Myers went on a radio show and noted January 13th as a target date for Curry. Steve Kerr kind of confirmed that in his press conference a few hours afterwards before that Pistons game. So I think we're looking at the end of next week for both of those guys. That kind of means we're going to be bidding farewell to Dante DiVincenzo. He's been really good. I think he's been a sixth-round player over the last 2 weeks. But, yeah, no more fantasy time for the big ragu, I guess you would say. So.
It was a good moment for I mean, especially because just what he's gone through over the last couple of years to find his role in this rotation, filling a void. He's done a great job. And I think also as a result of Steph Curry coming back, maybe we'll see less turnovers from Jordan Poole. Yeah. I know fantasy managers probably want to see a little bit less there, but Klay Thompson, I think, is an interesting case because after he just goes for 50, one could argue he's a sell high right now. With Steph coming back and Wiggins, would you go that far?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I can definitely see the argument. I think it's something where you kind of throw it out there and see what people may offer in return. I don't know if I would automatically go through with it, but that's something where you might want to cash in just because he still isn't at the point where he's playing both ends of back-to-backs.
Right.
So that they may factor into the thinking of some fantasy managers who want to consider selling high there.
It's a good point. And then we still don't know about Brandon Ingram. I think you have to assume he's probably getting closer now that Zion's out for a month. I feel like there's a little bit more of a need to get him back, but I don't know. The Pelicans are still, one of the top teams in the Western Conference right now. They have a lot of depth that's certainly playing into their favor right now. Jackson Hayes is playing well. Jose Alvarado continues to just give really solid backcourt minutes. Do they need Brandon Ingram back, and do you expect him to come back sometime in the next couple of weeks?
I do, but they're in a situation, like you mentioned, they have the luxury of kind of playing it slow here, not rushing him back. And then also, once he comes back, they can kind of play the ramp-up game with him, bring him along gradually, because you've got Trey Murphy, who's played really well in that starting role. Najee Marshall's giving him good minutes. Jackson Hayes has stepped up with Larry Nance out as well. Yeah. Dyson Daniels has been one of the better rookies in this class recently, too.
Very right.
You got CJ, you've got Jonas Valanciunas in the middle. They've got the options there to kind of take their time with this, with both Zion and Brandon right now.
Yeah, if the Lakers don't get it together, man, David Griffin's going to look like he's looking like Danny Ainge here, man. Just swindling in the Wemby sweepstakes somehow, taking that Lakers pick. That would be crazy. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like, we were talking about injury management for a lot of players, and I think it's frustrating. I'm a guy that's rostered Brandon Ingram, and I would have appreciated if they just gave him the Desmond Bane diagnosis earlier on. Like, I don't know if he's dealing with turf toe or some version of that, but they're kind of been making it seem like it was a day-to-day thing that just continues to be day-to-day, and it's been weeks now. So, the transparency around that injury has certainly been frustrating, but they got the depth to weather the storm. So that's what they're doing.